Story time part 2. So, crazy things my narcissistic ex-mother-in-law does or did. Um, these little things, if you are paying half attention to maybe your situation or whatever, you'll be able to pick up on this. Or people that are around this person or people like this, you'll be able to pick up on it. So, when you first meet them, they love you to death. You're the best thing since Wonder Bread, and gifts, or we love you so much, we want you in our family, you're a good person, blah blah blah. Gossip, craziest thing. Every single ex was guilty of the same sins in her eyes. They didn't clean their house good enough. The kids didn't go to the right school. The kids weren't bathed properly. There's a drinking or a drug problem, and they're crazy. So yeah, those are some crazy things that I heard about every single one of my exes. So whether it was his ex-wife, his ex-girlfriend, what they didn't do their mommy job properly. Well, that's going to lead into later all that manipulation that only she can do it right for your partner because she wants that spot. I remember her saying his ex-wife never changed their bed sheets. Well, dude, these people were in their 30s. Why are you babysitting their wash load? I remember thinking that to myself at that time, why are you paying attention to when she does and doesn't change her bed sheets or laundry? Baby's always running around unbathed when I think that was said of me too later down the road. Okay, sorry about that. So, the gossip and everybody's a bad mother but her. So, one thing that has been said there's been a lot of things said about my mothering skills. I have 7 children in all, and at one point in time when I had my son with Down syndrome, I had 8 children in the house. 8. Now, I did fall behind on some of their homeschooling, but that's because the house was very chaotic. A lot of her chaos had come into our home. And so I had fallen behind in some of the homeschooling, but it was mainly because I just had child number 8 in that house with Down syndrome. And he was sick. And when he was first born, he was in the hospital for almost a month. There was a lot of things going on with him, and I was spending so much time trying to nurse him, keep him healthy, doctor's appointments. There was a lady that came from the next town over to start therapy, but there was a lot going on. And so I did fall behind. But instead of saying, hey, can I help you? When we were going through the thick of having that last child in the home, there were 10 people in the home. I was homeschooling. I was doing my YouTube channel. I was working from home. My ex was working on the farm. Now, his family members, like his aunt, his dad, his brother, would come over and help with we had a huge garden. We had cows. So his other family members would come over. I remember one time when we came home with the baby from the hospital, they had weeded our whole garden. They just gave. They didn't ask. They didn't say anything. They just did. They participated in helping. She, however, would just nag. Oh, she's not doing good enough on their school. She's not doing this. Well, how about you say, you know what? You've got 8 kids in that house. One has Down syndrome who's really sick. Let me take on some of the schoolwork for you, with the little ones, going over something simple like letters or numbers and help out. No, it was just, she's horrible. She's bad mommy. So the bad mommy came to be like a running theme with my with her other daughter-in-law and all my exes. Everybody's a bad mommy. She's the best. She can do it better. One thing I've got to point out that is hilarious is that when my ex got custody of my son, he was 3.5, and it was said that I never fed him anything but yogurt, and that he was underweight. So he did not eat a whole lot of new foods, which is typical of children with Down syndrome. I cooked for him. He loves spaghetti. I'm the one that introduced him to spaghetti. My mom had introduced him to chicken noodle soup. So he was getting other foods. He liked chips. He liked sweets. But he had a swallowing problem from birth. And so we had gotten into a habit of feeding him yogurt in a bottle, which he still gets today. If he won't eat other foods, that's a good resort either to get him to sleep at night as a comforting thing. But kids with Down syndrome and other disabilities, they tend to pick one food they really like or something that's soothing or comfortable, and they'll have that a lot. Anyway, so it's hilarious because one of the arguments was when my ex got him, he was underweight. So, another bad mommy lie. So what I did was I just took a look at the, within 3 days of getting my son in his care, my ex had taken him to the doctor for strep throat, December 29th of 2022. And it clearly says on here that his weight was 31.2 pounds. Okay. There's the documents right here. 31. There we are. Vitals. 31.2 pounds. All you have to do is go on CDC and print off a Down syndrome growth chart. And at 3 years old, 31.2 pounds. I can't remember. I've done it before because I've had to turn it into the lawyers. But kilograms are like 2.2 per pound. So that would be, anyway, he was like in the 70th percentile. He was not underweight. Every bad mommy accusation. Anyway, now let's talk about beating children. When narcissists are dealing with like their own insecurities, sins, things they've done wrong, they cannot take responsibility for their own actions. All of this, and it's almost laughable because the attorneys sit and laugh at this point. Like, this woman has like exposed herself to them on all the drama and the lies. I think it was said that I beat children to unconsciousness. And I remember one night, this is something that will stick with me for forever. One night I had gotten back with my ex, or I'd gone to visit him at his house or something. She calls, "Who's at your house?" Which means she was driving by his house to check up on him, which is psychologically a problem. And he was like, "You know whose car that is in the driveway." And she tore into him for an hour, maybe an hour and a half. And I told him, "Put that on speakerphone. I want to hear what she's got to say." And it was all "Don't you remember she's been beating your kids to unconsciousness? Don't you remember? She's a money-grubbing whore. She called me everything but a woman." And I remember he was unable to say, "None of that is true." And that my heart sunk. And I went home that night to my mom's house. I was living at my mom's at one point because I left him. And I cried for I don't know how many hours. My kids were trying to comfort me. My mom came to I was laying, she had a fold-out couch we were sleeping on, and I was laying there, and my mom said, "Melissa, this woman is so eat up with hate that I'm afraid she would like kill you and try to cover it up because she's got so many people snowed in the community to thinking that you're such a bad person that she would get away with it or she would have it covered up somehow." And I wish I had heeded my mother's words, but she begged me not to go back. Because of the craziness. It wasn't simply that she just didn't like me. She was stalking me. She was stalking him. She would call his phone and just accuse me of all this stuff. And he didn't even say what broke my heart most of all was he didn't even say none of that stuff is untrue. And none of that stuff is, real. Like, you're imagining this and you're projecting this onto other people and you're projecting this onto me and my relationship. But none of it's true. Another scary thing is that I noticed that she felt like this about any woman that posed a threat to her relationship with her sons or power, money, or the way she looked in that family. Another person, and I'll have to do another story time on this, that she absolutely hated besides me, his ex's, the sister-in-law, was the new cousin that moved in on the farm. The things that she would say to him and get him to believe about this new cousin, because this new cousin was a threat to their inheritance. And I tried to calm him down, and I'll do a whole story time on the way that played out. And I had a conversation. I'm going to do another story time on that. Story time on threat of money, control, and greed. So this one was bad mommy.